Welcome back to the Twitter Think channel. My name is Dan, and in this one, we have a question under conditional probability. This is part of the series of exercises we are doing for the topic conditional probability. So this question is simple. It says a public health researcher examined the medical records of a group of 937 men who died in 2019 and discovered that 210 of the men died of causes related to heart disease. Moreover, 312 of the 937 men had at least one parent who suffered from heart disease, and of these 312 men, 102 died of causes related to heart disease. The question is, determine the probability that a man randomly selected from this group died of causes related to heart disease, given that neither of his parents suffered from heart disease. So this is what we have under conditional probability. Let's see how we can break this down. The first thing I want us to do is to break the equation down. Let us write down our data. So let our data be here. Now, what is the total number of men? We have 937. So total number of men is 937. Now the next thing said that the total number of men who died from heart disease is 210. So now 312 we have here is for men who had at least one parent suffering from heart disease. Okay, so now we have the last one. It says that out of these 312, 102 died of causes related to heart disease. So now these are men with at least one parent with heart disease who died from what? Heart disease. So we have 102. So that is what we will write. So let D be death recorded due to heart disease. Then the next letter we can use for is P. So let's use P to represent at least one parent suffering from heart disease. Okay, so it is there. We said at least one parent suffered from heart disease. So now, as P represents the parent with heart disease, let's talk about P complement. Okay, so P1 or PC is the same thing. Okay, I prefer using P1. Okay, so P1 here is P complement. They are parents with no history of what? Heart disease. It's very important that we find that, because if you are confused, come here. The question said that determine the probability that a man randomly selected from this group died of causes related to heart disease, given that neither of his parents suffered. So we are looking for those that did not suffer. What is the probability of men who died of heart disease but they didn't have parents that were suffering from what? Heart disease. Do you get it now? That is P complement. So that is the data we need, and now we can solve. Now, because the question didn't say we should find D, death recorded due to heart disease, there is no need for us to find its probability, but it's possible we can find it. Okay, so now we will start with P and P1. We will take the probability of what? P. So probability of P is going to give us what? Now let's go back to the data. So don't confuse this P with parent. Okay, like I said earlier. Okay, what I mean is that this P stands for men with at least one parent having what? Heart disease. That's what stands for P. Okay, do you get it now? So when we come here, we have 312 of them have parents who suffer from what? Heart disease. So this is going to give us 312. Now we divide this by the total number of men we have, which is 937, the sample space. Okay, so 937. So that is the probability of men with at least one parent suffering from what? Heart disease. Now this is giving us 0.333. Okay, you can leave your answer like this. Okay, now because of conditional probability, we can find P1. Okay, so if I have the probability P, the main probability should be equal to 1. If I subtract the probability P from the 1, I should have its complement. So parent with no history of heart disease. Here, I think I can put men here. Okay, so men with parents with no history of heart disease, so I don't confuse you with this one. All right, so now P of P complement should give us 1 minus what? The probability of P. So the whole idea is that men who died having parents with heart disease are this, and men who died having parents with no heart disease, if we want to find it, we will subtract this from 1. Okay, so that is the total problem. When we add them, we should have 1. So this is giving us 1 minus 312 all over 937. Please punch this on the calculator. I don't want us to use the decimals. So this will give us 625 over 937. If you want to change this to decimal, you have 0.667. Now that we have this, what is the next thing we need to do? Let's go to the question. He said, determine the probability that a man randomly selected from this group died of causes related to heart disease. So he's looking for what? Death recorded, okay, to heart disease, given that neither of his parents, we are looking for men who died having parents with no history of heart disease. That's what he's asking. So our concentration will be here. We are looking for death recorded. D, conditioning on the fact that this death came as a result of people who had parents with no history of what? Heart disease. Do you understand now? So it is going to look like D as P1 has occurred. So if he says that death related to heart disease, given that their parents suffered from heart disease, then this one will go. And we will work with what? The P. Do you understand now? Okay. Now, before we will be able to find D as P1 has occurred, the complement has occurred, we need to find the number of men who suffered from heart disease with parents having no what? History of what? Heart disease. Do you understand now? So I'll write that one down. Men who die from heart disease having parents with no history of heart disease. So in conditional probability, we are going to write this as D intersection P1. These two events happening together. Okay, these are deaths that are recorded or men that died with parents having no history of what? Heart disease. Now, how do we find this value? We need to look for men who have parents with no history of heart disease. But how many men died? 210 of the men died. So let me write it down. We have 210 of the men died. But we need to subtract some number of men from this 210. So now watch. The question said we have 312 men. Out of this 312, 102 of them died, having parents with history of what? Heart disease. But in total, 210 men died. Do you understand now? So if 210 men died in total, I will subtract this value from this 210. It will give me the number of men who died, but they have parents with no history of heart disease. Okay? You the Bab? So now minus 102 is going to give us 108 men. So these 108 men are men who died, but their parents didn't have any history of what? Heart disease. Now we can continue and solve our question. So if we have to get this, then D intersection P1 is equal to 108. Okay. Now let us take the probability of this. So probability of this is giving us P of D intersection P1 is giving us 108. The total number of men who died having parents with no history of heart disease divided by all the total number of men, which is 937. Now we can solve our question. Determine the probability that a man randomly selected died of causes related to heart disease. Okay, so this is it. Given that neither of his parents suffered from heart disease, the complement, okay, what we have here. So D, given that we have what? P1. Now the probability of this is going to give us the probability that D intersection P1. So we write the formula divided by probability of what? P1. And we already know this result. So this is going to give us P of D as P1 has occurred, giving us 108 dividing 937 divided by probability of P1. What did we get? 625 over what? 25 over 937. This is the same as, I'll change this to multiplication. So I have 108 over 937 times, we reciprocate this side, 937 out of 625. This now cancels this. When we multiply this, what do we have? The answer is giving us 108 over 625. And that is our final answer. Okay, so this is what they are looking for. This is the probability of death that were recorded, given that neither of his parents suffered from heart disease. We are having 108 over 625. All right, so that will be all for this exercise. You can go through this. If you have any suggestions or anything, please drop them in the comment box. Like this video and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next one.